John in Chula Vista, California. Hey, John, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tom. During college, many years ago, I had a lot of friends who were in SDS, and I think you knew some too. And
I was in SDS.
Cesar Chavez movement, and even PLP, which I guess was really radical. And I thought they were really radical. But what I want to know is, were there dire predictions of capitalism? Is that all coming true? And why don't we have radical movements like we used to have back then? On the left,
sure.
To counter maybe the Tea Party.
In answer to the first part of your question, yes, I strongly recommend that you go back and read the Port Huron statement that Tom Hayden helped write back in 63 or 64 in Port Huron, Michigan, which then got rolled out at the University of Michigan, which is arguably where SDS started, I suppose, and then spread all across the country. The Port Huron statement is all about how capitalism destroys the rights of working people. I mean, it was about peace and justice. At that point in time, SDS was not about ending the Vietnam War because the Vietnam War was not all that big a deal at that point in time. It took a couple of years, and then SDS got into the anti-Vietnam War thing too. But originally, SDS was about human rights and the rights of workers, social and economic justice. That's what they were about. So yeah, we've been around forever. Number one. Number two, the reason that you don't hear about progressive groups, the modern incarnation of SDS is called Occupy, is that because 34 years of Reaganomics have created a change in the zeitgeist, in the paradigm, in the way that we all live our lives. In the 1960s and 1970s, young people could go out and protest and not worry if their protesting got them kicked out of their school. Typically, it didn't. Schools didn't, object to that. But A, they didn't worry about getting kicked out of school because there was always another school they could go to, and they were all really, really cheap. A. And B, they didn't worry about getting arrested because back then, if you had an arrest record, it didn't mean that for the rest of your life you couldn't get a decent job. And now both of those are the case. People are $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in debt halfway through their college careers, and they're scared to death to go out and protest. They're scared to death to lose that lifeline. Maybe they have a scholarship or a partial scholarship or some subsidized funding or whatever. They're afraid to put that at risk. Number one, and number two, we have created these super databases that keep track of everybody and everything they've ever done. So if you get in trouble, and this is something that our government right now is using against Occupy, the worst stuff that they did against us in SDS back in the day was they would get informers to plant drugs on us or in our homes or whatever, and then arrest people on drug busts. That was the big way they dealt with SDS back in the 60s and 70s. Now what they're doing, instead of that, they are prosecuting people. If you get arrested in a demonstration, they are adding felony charges to your arrest, resisting arrest, unlawful assembly. I don't know where the line is between misdemeanors and felonies with regard to specific charges because they vary from state to state. But they will figure out a way to slap a felony on there so that you have now been arrested for a felony. Whether you're convicted or not almost doesn't matter, because now companies all over the United States, when you apply for a job, there's a little box that says, have you ever been arrested for a felony? Not have you been convicted. Have you ever been arrested for a felony? There's a whole movement right now called Block the Box or End the Box, which is to make it illegal at the federal level for employers to ask if you've ever been arrested for a felony, because it's a filter that destroys people's lives. And you've got all these young people who were very idealistic and very enthusiastic, and they showed up for the Occupy movement, and they were standing there in the streets when the bulldozers and the pepper spray and the police paddy wagons came, and hundreds of them, maybe thousands of them, have literally seen their entire future destroyed because they have been prosecuted for felonies or they have been charged with felonies. And now they don't have access to student aid. They don't have access to government loans. They don't have access to any kind of government job, which is 20% of the economy. And most private employers won't hire them. So in my opinion, John, and then on top of that, you've got the media in the United States has gone from being locally owned back in the 60s and 70s when I was working in radio and TV. I only worked in TV for a few months. I was a floor director at WGIM channel. It was locally owned. WGIM was named after Jim, who was the son of the guy who owned the TV station. They also owned a radio station with the same call letters. WITL was locally owned. WVIC was locally owned. WFMK was locally owned. I knew the guys who owned these stations that I worked for. Now it's all, a couple of giant corporations run by right-wing billionaires, Clear Channel run by, Mitt Romney and buddies, or, Bain Capital and buddies, and Cumulus and others. I mean, basically you've got a small handful of very far-right people who own most of the media in the United States. So, A, it ain't happening because people are scared. B, when it does happen, it doesn't get reported because the media has no interest in this. It doesn't support the power structure. This is how far we have gone down the road toward, John, what I was talking about earlier, authoritarian capitalism. And this is the use, and thank you for the call, this is the use of the power of the state to destroy the lives of working people and protesters and to enhance the power of corporations and billionaires. This is exactly what Henry Wallace predicted on April 9th, 1944.